Okay, picture this. The Dubai Airshow. It's one of the biggest stages on the planet, where countries show off the absolute best of their aerospace tech. And right there, front and center, is India's pride and joy, the Tejas light combat aircraft. But what was supposed to be a showcase of power turned into a global headline, and for all the wrong reasons. It instantly raised some really tough questions about this whole ambitious project.
So this is the big question that popped up immediately. Is this crash a sign of a major problem with India's homegrown fighter jet? Or is there, something more going on behind the scenes? This one single incident suddenly put a huge question mark over a program worth billions of dollars. All right, let's get into what actually went down. The setting is the air show at Al Maktoum Airport. The Tejas is up in the air, pulling off some seriously complex maneuvers. This is all designed to wow potential international buyers and show them just how agile this machine is. And then the unthinkable happens. In the middle of this high-G, high-stress performance, the jet goes down. And tragically, the pilot, a highly decorated and skilled officer named Naman Shail, couldn't eject. He was lost in the crash. And just like that, the focus shifted from a potential mechanical issue to a deeply human tragedy.
Now, to even begin to understand what could have gone wrong here, we really need to appreciate the insane challenges involved. We are talking about pushing both the pilot and the plane to the absolute ragged edge of their physical and mechanical limits. Just look at these numbers. Flying a modern fighter is nothing like flying a passenger plane. Pilots are dealing with speeds literally twice the speed of sound. They're pulling off maneuvers that put incredible G-forces on their bodies, all while making split-second decisions. The source material describes these jets as being as agile as a dolphin in the water. Can you imagine the kind of focus it takes to control that? Now, one of the key factors that experts cited by the source think might have been involved is something called negative G-force. So this happens when the plane goes into a really rapid dive. It's accelerating towards the ground faster than gravity itself, and the pilot gets the sensation of being pushed up and out of their seat. It can mess with your vision and completely disorient you. And this is a perfect way to think about it. If you've ever been on a roller coaster and felt your stomach jump into your throat on a big drop, well, you've had a little taste of this. Now, just try to imagine that feeling, but amplified 1,000 times, at speeds where being disoriented for even a fraction of a second can be fatal. That's the world these pilots live in. But this story isn't just about physics and mechanics. Oh no. The second that jet went down, a completely different kind of fight kicked off. An information war. And here's why that's so important. The Tejas isn't just a piece of military tech. It's a huge export contender for India. It's going head-to-head with big players like the American F-35, the French Rafale, and the Chinese-Pakistani JF-17. A very public failure on a world stage, that's exactly what your competition is hoping for. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. You've got two totally different stories spinning out at the same time. On one hand, you have the official stance from India. A formal court of inquiry was launched to find the real cause. But according to the source, a rival narrative was pushed almost immediately by competitors. This story was all about technical flaws, rumors of oil leaks, and even online trolling to try and damage the jet's reputation with those potential buyers. And why does all that propaganda matter so much? Well, look at this list. These are just some of the countries that have their checkbooks out, seriously considering a deal for the Tejas. For them, every single headline, every rumor, could sway a decision worth billions. The stakes are just incredibly high. Okay, so with all that noise, is there any truth to that rival narrative? Is the Tejas unreliable? To answer that, the source material suggests we need to pull the lens back and look at the bigger picture. We need some context. And that context starts with a single number, 2. In its entire history, from its very first flight back in the early 2000s, that's the total number of times a Tejas jet has crashed. Just 2. Now, that number 2 might not mean much on its own, but when you put it up against the competition based on the data from the source, whoa, the story completely flips. The Chinese-Pakistani JF-17 has reportedly crashed 7 times. The super-hyped American F-35 has had crashes reported pretty much every year. And according to this data, various Chinese jets have crashed over 300 times. All of a sudden, 2 incidents in 2 decades starts to look, well, pretty darn good. So the bottom line here, the crucial point that this source is making, is that these are unbelievably complex machines. They operate at the very edge of what's possible, and failures, as tragic as they are just an inherent,
unavoidable part of pushing the boundaries of technology. And this leads us to a much bigger, almost philosophical question, doesn't it? It's about the nature of ambition and innovation itself. Is failure just the end of the story, or is it a necessary step on the journey? The path for any real, homegrown innovation almost always follows this exact cycle. You dare to build something new and groundbreaking. You inevitably hit a setback. You have to rigorously analyze what went wrong, and then, and this is the most important part, you use what you learned to make the next one better, stronger, and safer. Every major tech power on Earth has walked this same path. And this quote from the source analysis just nails it. India's incredible Chandrayaan moon mission, which was a massive success, also had failures and setbacks along the way. The lesson is that progress is never a straight line. Setbacks aren't just possible, they're often a requirement for achieving something truly great. So we're left with this question, right? Whether you're building a fighter jet or trying to land on the moon, pushing the limits always comes with risk. The road to becoming self-reliant and a technological leader is paved with challenges, and sometimes with tragic setbacks. The real question isn't if failures will happen, but how a nation learns from them to ultimately come out on top.